Okay, it is 11 o'clock Eastern Time, so let it get started. So welcome everybody to the 6th Annual Financial Literacy Challenge. Let me make sure that my screen is being shared. There we go. So this is the 6th Annual Financial Literacy Challenge and Personal Finance Lab. My name is Kevin Smith. I'm Director of Product Development. As we go through the webinar today, if you have any questions, you have a QA option, so pop that up. I can see your questions, and I'll take a minute to answer any questions that you have. I'm going to go through the webinar schedule for 30 minutes. It's likely we're going to go a little bit over, but that's going to be okay because we're recording this. If you miss anything, we're going to be sending out the recording to everybody later today. It'll be a YouTube link. So let's get started. So let's start out with what is the challenge. So this is, like I said, the 6th Annual Financial Literacy Challenge. We run this every April for Financial Literacy Month on Personal Finance Lab, where we open up our platform to any teacher and any classroom who wants to use it. There's two main components that we're looking at here. There is a budgeting game and there's an investing game. So most teachers have their students start with the budgeting game. It has the scenario is your students start the game with a part-time job, and they are college students. And for the first 6 quote-unquote months of the game, they are the college students that are managing their part-time job. They get bills, they have expenses, they need to manage their savings account and checking account. They have a credit card they need to use responsibly to build up their credit score. The main objectives of the game are to build up to set and hit savings goals every month and to build up an emergency fund. So each month takes about 15 minutes. After students finish the first 6 months of the game, they graduate from their school and they start their first full-time job. The game gets a little bit harder. They have more bills. All their expenses are more expensive. Paychecks every 2 weeks instead of every week. I'll show you a little bit about how that works in a few minutes. And there's also the investing game. So students build a portfolio of stocks, ETFs, bonds, and mutual funds. If you've used a stock game before, it's going to look a little bit similar, but I can guarantee you that ours is the best one out there. So students get a lot more engaged than they may have in other games. We start students only with $500 in their investing account. So there's not a whole lot they can do with that. We do allow fractional trading like they can get with Robinhood or any other brokerage account. So they don't need to buy 1 share of Tesla. They can buy 0.25 shares of Tesla if they can only afford $100 worth. But students are challenged to, as they're saving up money in the budgeting game, they can either leave it in their savings account or they can transfer it over to their investing account and continue to build their portfolio with money they have saved up from the budgeting game. The two games work back and forth. Students also have the opportunity to take cash out of their investing account and bring it back into their budgeting game if they are having trouble hitting some of their savings goals or unexpected expenses. A little bit about the budgeting game. Like I said, the students play through a simulated year. You can see here the game board really looks like a calendar, and they move through the months of the year by moving through time. Every couple of days, they get unexpected expenses. Sometimes they have a choice of whether or not they want to spend money. Other times they do not, and they just have to spend what's going to happen. Like in this case, I just have to spend $5. As I said, they can use their checking account with their debit card, or they can use their credit card for their expenses. The goals of the game are to set and hit achievable savings goals every month with a pay yourself first incentive, where they get the most bonus points in the game if they set and hit a savings goal of at least 10% of their expected income. They also have a credit card they have the option to use for their expenses. Another objective of the game is to use the credit card responsibly. That means they need to pay off their entire balance every month. They need to not go over 50% of their credit limit. The credit limit increases if their credit score goes up and they're proving more trustworthy. And they need to maintain a high quality of life. The goal of the game is not to just save every penny. They get points by investing money into buying a nicer apartment, or buying better groceries, or making some choices of how they want to spend their money and time that they otherwise might not have. So some of the elements of the budgeting game your students are going to see. The game kicks off with them having choices of how they want to set their big bills. And I'm going to play through a week of the game too, so you don't get too overwhelmed with this. It's just kind of outlaying some stuff. So one of the first choice they're going to have is where do they want to live. So they're going to have 3 options for how they want to rent their apartment. They'll have a cheap place with a lot of roommates, a medium place with a couple roommates, or a medium place with just one roommate. More expensive, the nicer the places that you're renting. Students will be able to see the place they're renting as well. They'll have an apartment, and as the game progresses, they're going to be furnishing their apartment both with the stuff that they're buying as part of the random events of the game, and they have the opportunity to buy a blender or other things that will appear in their apartment. How well they furnish their apartment does have a big impact on their overall quality of life, which again is one of the components of the game scores. As they're playing, they're going to be prompted every month to set and hit a savings goal. So in this case, I see that I have paychecks I'm expecting for $2,300. I have bills that I know of that are $1,800. And I know as the game goes on that I'm going to have a bunch of unexpected expenses that come up every month. So it shows you just, with your bills, you have this expected shortfall or surplus, but the students are challenged to set a savings goal every month. How much are you going to save? And like I said, they're going to get the most bonus points if this savings goal they set is at least 10% of their expected income. Every week, they're going to be getting a paycheck. While they are in the part-time first half of the game, the paychecks come every week, and the hours they get at their part-time job vary, so it's a little bit of unexpected income, or hard to plan for income, I should say. Once they start the full-time mode, the paychecks come every 2 weeks. It's a consistent paycheck they're going to get. They're going to have a whole pay stub that shows all of their tax withholdings and everything else, just like a real paycheck would. As they play through the game, they also are going to be prompted with a series of mini lessons. These are shorter versions of the Personal Finance Lab curriculum library. They shouldn't take students more than 5 minutes to complete, and the students need to answer a quiz question in order to continue through the game. At the end of each week of the game, the students are prompted how they want to spend their weekend, and they have 4 choices. Each of these 4 choices have different impacts on the game, how the game is going to progress for the student. They can work extra hours, earn a little bit of extra cash. They can do household chores, in which case a lot of these events will save them money in the long run. For example, they're going to do meal planning for the week and freeze a bunch of lunches, which is going to save on their next grocery bill. Socializing events means they're spending a lot of time with their friends. These usually cost money, but they also give a lot of quality of life points. And they also can study. While they're in part-time mode in school, studying will help them get good grades, and it means they're going to earn more money when they start their full-time job at the 6-month point. After they graduate from school, study becomes professional development, and doing a lot of professional development can lead them to getting a raise at their job. Each of these 4 choices also comes with a little mini game that takes about 2 minutes each week for the students to complete. I'll talk about those in a minute. But we also balance the game out where students really should not be choosing the same thing over and over. So we see a lot of students choosing work extra hours a lot. They want to get the extra cash so they can spend it. If they do that and they neglect studying, they're going to start failing their exams. And so they're going to have to hire a very expensive tutor if they just never study. Or if they never take care of their household chores, they're going to get a cockroach infestation and they're going to have to pay for an exterminator. So each of these have benefits and costs, and if they neglect one of the options for too long, they get penalized for having neglected some of their social responsibilities. Depending on what they choose, there's 4 mini games they can get. So this Wealth Whiz quiz is a rapid-fire 10 quiz questions about personal finance. This will launch if they choose the study option. And depending on how well they do on the quiz, they'll get bonus points that apply to their game score. This next one here is the comparison shopping game. They have to go to the grocery store. They need to buy 3 items. Each item they buy has 3 different options they can get. So in this case, I want to buy some tea. I have 3 different teas that are up for sale, and they need to identify which one's the best deal. And by buying if they are able to find the best deal, they're going to get extra quality of life points and bonus points added to the game score. So it helps them in both directions. This next one is our weekend planning game. In this one, your students are basically planning out how they're going to spend their Saturday. This launches if they choose the socialize option. And this one they have a number of different things they can do over the weekend. Some things cost money, some things are free, and they need to move around the town in order to fill out their schedule. The students are basically going to be choosing how much they want to spend to get a certain number of quality of life points. In all cases, they also have to plan out how they want to travel around and do some time management. Because if they are bouncing all over the town, they're going to have spending a lot of time traveling. Whereas if they do a lot of activities in the same area, even though they might not get the most points out of it, they're going to have a lot less travel time, so they can get a lot more done. So it's a kind of a strategic use of time and time management game is when you go socializing. And our last one is our cafe game. If the students choose to work extra hours while they're in their part-time job, it'll launch the cafe game where they're basically asked to be waiting and bussing tables. Different tables will have different orders of food and drinks. They'll need to bring them to the table, and then after the table is finished, they'll have the dishes they need to clean off. I have somebody ask a question, is there a cost to play the game or for the contest? Absolutely not. The FinLick Challenge is completely free. So have as many students as you want to participate. You can sign up even if you aren't sure that you want to use it for your class, and it's completely free to use. Next up, about the stock game. Oh, actually, before I go on to the stock game, let me actually pull up the budget game. I'm going to play through a simulated week. So this is the dashboard your students are going to see when they log in. There's stuff about the budgeting game, stuff about the stock game. Let's not get too overwhelmed with it right now, but let's go straight into the budgeting game. So to start a month, like I said, I'm going to choose where I want to live. And the more expensive the option I choose, of course, the harder it's going to be to fit this in my budget, but the more quality of life points these options are going to get me. And the way this works is that the cheapest option is worth 0. The more expensive option is worth basically cheapest option minus this one. So in this case, it'd be worth 84 points every month. And this one is worth even more. So this would be 168 points because it's the difference between the two. So I'm going to take the middle option here. Same thing with the grocery plan. It's worth more points the more expensive you choose. Cell plan, same thing. And I can choose my TV and internet plan. There's more bills, but the students can't choose them. Like there's a bill for electricity that they're just going to get charged that. And then I'm going to begin my monthly budget. And so I can see that I am scheduled a consistent 15 hours a week at my part-time job. I have 4 paychecks I'm expecting this month for $360. So that's going to give me $1,440. At my part-time job where I'm working at a cafe, I'm going to earn some tips, and then I apply the tax to that to see what my actual take-home pay is going to be. I continue. I can see I don't have any unpaid bills or credit card balance for the previous month, so I'm not going to be spending anything there. And this tells me what my bills are going to be. So I have rent, phone, TV, internet, energy, like I said, car payment, energy, car payment, and car insurance. Those are just expenses the students don't really have any say in. Groceries are down here. They also choose that, but they don't choose their fuel or gas bill. And then one of the challenges is the students need to figure out how much are they going to spend every month that's not just a bill. Because a lot of times when students think, oh, I need to start learning how to budget, you just list your income, you list your known expenses, meaning your bills, and then you just finish it. That's not how it works. They need to start realizing there's a lot more expenses that come out. I happen to know that the random events throughout the game will total somewhere between $300 and $400 each month. So I'm going to put $350 and be realistic that I'm going to have a bunch of expenses that are come up just through the month. And so last, I need to check my total income and I need to set my savings goals. And so we don't care how much your expenses are. We use a pay yourself first philosophy. The students should be saving 10% of their expected income. If for some reason they think they can't hit that goal, then they need to do the working extra hours over the weekend, or they need to, at any time they can choose to go into a cheaper rent or a cheaper grocery plan. There is a moving cost if they change the rent, but grocery plan is free to change. But I'm going to save $160 and a solid a little bit over 10%. I have one person ask, do these windows automatically pop up when students start each month, or do they need to select from the left-hand menu? The activity I'm doing here where I'm seeing my monthly income, expenses, and setting my savings goals happens every month. The choosing your expenses, that happens at the start of the game, and it happens when you switch to your full-time job. It doesn't happen every month, but I am able to go to my bills and I can change my rent, for example, if I want to. I can move out. I'll have to pay a moving fee to do that, but I'm able to do it. So the month here has started, and so I already have a rent bill. I have $1,000 in my checking account, so I'm going to pay my rent right away. But I can also see later in the month when each bill is due. So I can hold off on paying these until I'm ready to pay them. If I miss paying a bill, I'm going to take a penalty to my credit score, and I'm going to take a late fee on the bill itself. So let me just get rent out of the way right here, right now. So let's pay the $400. And I'm already on Saturday, so instead of going forward in the week, I'm going to start my weekend. And let's do a household chores. So I'm doing my comparison shopping game here. And you pick which of these is the best deal. So I have a quality score of how good this product is. I have a quantity of how much I'm getting out of it, and I have a price. So I need to weigh those three options to see which of these is the best deal. This one's on sale, so I think this is going to be the best deal of the three, even though I'm getting less quantity than I would be getting with the other two. My next thing I need to buy is shredded cheese. Let's see, this is cheaper and it's worth more, so I'm going to get the shredded mozzarella. And last, I need some sports drink. I think the drink powder is probably going to be worth a lot better deal than either of the bottles. So I'm going to get the powder. Even though the quality score is a lot less, I'm getting a lot more for it. Let's go to checkout. And I did not pick the best choice for the bread. I did get the best for the mozzarella, and I got the best for the drink powder. And so total, I got 36 points added to my quality of life, and 100 points were just added straight to my game score at the top there. So let's complete the game. And I bought some granola bars. So I have $15 that are deducted from my next grocery bill, and I got some quality of life points because I got a good deal at the grocery store. And then let's move forward through this first week. At the end of it, every die roll moves me forward half a day for every point here. So these 4 points move me forward 2 days. At the end of each roll, I have a choice here to an unexpected expense came up. And I see somebody ask, will there be written instructions as well that we can access? Yes, we have a teacher packet that has both instructions for how the games work, and it has some lesson plans and activity ideas for your class. So I will share that along with the recording for this later today when the written recording is available. So in this case, when I purchase this item, when I have a choice here of buying something or not, it can impact events that come up later in the game. So buying jeans is not really going to impact anything, but I could have an expense like, oh, do I want to buy a surge protector? And if I choose to buy a surge protector, it could be that I'm going to get a thunderstorm later, get struck by lightning. It's not likely, but it can happen. Other events have a more guaranteed outcome. Other times, just if I buy these jeans, I'm just going to get quality of life points for buying them. So I'm going to do that, and this time I'm going to use my credit card. As students use their credit card, you see I have a balance here. I can pay that off at any time, and I'm going to do that right now. And when I pay off my credit card, my credit score is going to go up a little bit. So if I use my credit card responsibly, this will tick up a little bit each month. Let's move forward. Debit. Let's get all the way up to my paycheck. Debit expense. Some scratches on my car. I'm okay with some scratches on my car. And I got my paycheck. I got my base pay. I got tips. Bonus income and game income. These will be, like if I did that work extra hours mini game on the weekend, I would get game income here. Bonus income, some of the random events that I'll get can actually give me bonus income in my next paycheck. I picked up somebody's extra hours at work, things like that. I see all my withholdings, and I deposit my paycheck. One more expense. Let's pay off my bills here, because now I want to show you my apartment. This is my credit card. For this demo, I started myself with $1,000 just so I'd be able to go through all of this really quickly. But in the actual game that the students are going to be playing, they're going to start with $500. So it's a little bit tighter at the start of the game than what I'm doing here. The apartment is where students can see where they live. So I'll skip this, and I start with some basic stuff. You can see here the jeans that I chose to buy earlier. They're just sitting on my bed. I have a folding table and chairs and a very basic bed I start with. But I can buy new stuff at any time. So I can go here and buy a bath mat, which is just going to appear right here in my bathroom. From the rankings page, students can actually visit each other's apartments and see how well they've been furnishing it. There's a lot of stuff they can buy whenever they want to here, but also a lot of the random events in the game, just like these jeans, are things that they'll have the option to buy. And if they do, they'll appear in their apartment later. So furnishing the apartment is a fun way for students to really kind of customize it. The way the apartment itself looks also depends on what I chose for my rent. So if I chose the cheapest apartment, I'd have cracks in my windows, be leaks coming out of the ceiling. If I had the expensive apartment, I'd have some marble countertops and stainless steel appliances. But let's not get into that too much. And then the last thing I want to show in the budgeting game. Yeah, I'll go home for that. Let's skip the game here because I want to the lesson. So as I said earlier, there's also mini lessons that are built into the game. And you can see they have this question mark icon on the calendar so students can see when they're coming. Debit and credit cards, this is what this lesson is about, to help students understand these options. I have a debit card and a credit card. What does that mean? And so this walks them through what the debit card is, what the credit card is, the interest rates you might get charged on your credit card if you don't pay it off on time, daily interest, things like that. What day of the month is your credit card statement issued? On the 9th, which I can learn by reading this lesson. And I get money for getting the question right the first time. Okay, so, this is actually this is one of the events that actually will come bite me later. If I choose a nylon bag instead of the sturdy bag, I can have my bag destroyed again in a few days. So it really is, it's not guaranteed to happen, but sometimes the bag will get destroyed if I choose the cheap option. But yeah, that's the long and short of the budgeting game. I'll have an opportunity later if you want to ask more questions about it. But now I want to talk about the stock game. So it's a real-time portfolio simulation where students can trade stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. We have research tools built into it, and we have tutorials and things built into it if your students have not really interacted with the stock game before. We have some specific rules. These are built in. Students don't really need to worry about them too much except for this last one. We have a $5 minimum price for all stocks, so they can't buy penny stocks. We do allow short selling. We do allow day trading. So if students want to be doing the short squeeze with GameStop, they can do that. They can also buy and sell the same stock on the same day. Margin trading is allowed. That means that students start with $500, but we give them $1,000 in buying power. So if they use up their $500, they can borrow another $500 automatically. If they do borrow money, we're going to charge them interest on their loan. So 8% interest charged daily. 8% annual interest, and we charge it daily. They can only put a quarter of their portfolio value in any one single stock. So they're starting with $500. We allow fractional trading, which means they can buy less than one share. They can buy 10% of a share. But they can't put more than a quarter of their portfolio in any one stock. The system will block them from doing that. That way they need to follow some diversification rules. No buy but remove. I'm not sure what you are asking them about. I'll check in with you later. Importantly, there's two rules that determine whether a student is qualifying for the rankings for the stock game for the prizes. First, they need to make at least 10 trades. Sometimes we'll have a student who buys 1 or 2 stocks and they do well enough to place in the regional rankings. They need to have at least 10 trades to qualify for prizes. Second, and importantly, we have a combo game. Students can transfer money. Sorry, I missed the GameStop joke. I'm not in the memes, unfortunately. But the new combo game, students can move money between their investing account and their budgeting game account, meaning they can choose to spend their nest egg from the investing account and put it straight into the budgeting game and spend it if they want to. But more importantly, they can transfer money from the budgeting game into the stock game. And one of our rules for prizes in the stock game is the students must have a portfolio value of at least $1,000 to qualify for the final rankings. So on top of the $500 they start with, they need to transfer another $500 from the budget game to the stock game in order to qualify for the final prizes. So just so you can see what that looks like, let me pull up the budgeting game here. And I can transfer money. In the budgeting game itself, a big factor of the score is transferring money from checking to savings. That's my monthly savings goals, and that's my building an emergency fund. I get a lot of bonus points when my savings balance goes up to $500, and a lot more bonus points when it hits $1,000. But I can also transfer it to my investing account. Investing account means that this $100 is going to disappear from my checking account, and it's going to appear in my portfolio balance, which I can then invest. I can also take money out of my investing account and move it back into my checking account. If students move money into their investing account, it does count towards their monthly savings goals, but it does not count towards their emergency fund. The emergency fund needs to be in the checking account, or in the savings account, sorry. So really, to do well in the game, they want to get their savings balance up to $1,000. After they have that $1,000 saved, they can choose whether they're going to keep moving into the savings account or move it to their investing account to start building the portfolio. So let me move that over, and then let me go over to the stock game. I'm going to make a trade here. Skip. So, I accidentally gave myself too much starting cash for the demo. I should have had $500 to give me $600 now, but I have a little bit extra cash. So let's say I want to buy Ford stock. So Ford, I can just do a symbol lookup, and it will return the symbols that match this. The symbol for Ford is F, and I definitely can't afford 100 shares when I only have $1,000. Let me use another example of Tesla. This is $230, and students who are starting with $500 can't do that, but they can buy 0.3 shares, for example, and it'll cost me $70. Over here, we have two different types of charts they can look at. This chart is color-coded. It's going to be green if the stock is up for the day. It's going to be red if the stock is down for the day. And this line is where it ended the last day. If your students are really into investing, we have advanced charts too. Candlesticks, and they can change the time frequencies. There's all kinds of stuff they can do here, and zoom it out, zoom it in as much as you like. If I scroll down a bit here, I have a number of tabs telling me more about this company. Company profile, who is this company and what do they do? Company news are news stories mentioning this stock. So why is its price going up and down? Analyst rating, what are Wall Street analysts saying about this stock? Is it a buy, a hold, a sell? For students who are really just getting started, this is a very useful tab to check because they might just be looking at a company they've heard of before and they don't know a whole lot about it, and this will tell you what's Wall Street saying about the stock. Price history. How has the stock's price been moving over the last month? Financial statements. I can see the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow statement, annually or quarterly, going back 20 years. And I can export this as well if I want to do some analysis. And the detailed quote gives you a little bit more information you see up at the top. So last price, days change, open, high, low, bid, ask, EPS, volume, etc. Students can also find this and much more information under the investing research tab up here. So in our investing research tab, we have a market summary, what's been going on in the markets. Market movers is a favorite one for students trying to find a stock they want to buy. What stocks are most active? Which ones are going up and down the most in a given day? Company news. These are the ones I was talking about on the other on the trading page. We have these in the quotes tool as well. The advantage if you go into the research center is that you can kind of change the date range you want to look at, and you can export like the historical prices if you want to. We have a special tool for mutual funds that give you information about what's in the fund, what is it holding, etc. I need to actually pick a fund, so let's put SPY. This works for both ETFs and mutual funds. So I can see it's the investment objective of this fund, the performance over any given time span, what's it holding, how is it weighted. So there's a lot of stuff. this is stuff that's used in college investing classes if you really want to get really deep into it, or you can just go surface level because a lot of students aren't going to be able to dive that deep into the investing research. But we have tutorials built in showing them how to use all of this stuff, how to trade a stock, how to manage their portfolio, what kind of order types they have available. Now that I've traded that Tesla, it'll appear in my open positions. Oh, did it? I didn't actually place that trade, did I? Let's do that now. Okay. Down here, we also have a tutorial video built in to help them get started with the first trades. I said I was going to buy 0.3 shares. Students are required also to place a note. Every time they make a trade, they need to tell us why. You as the teacher in your reports will be able to see their trading notes as well. Confirm it. It's placed. Just for reference, the quotes that the students see on the trading page are delayed for 15 minutes, but in the back end, when we actually execute their order, it uses the real-time bid-ask prices. We're just not allowed to show those, but it means the students can't cheat if they're looking at the data feeds. Let's go to my open positions. And here's that Tesla I just bought. And you can see here it's delayed because, like I said, we can't show that real-time price. After 15 minutes, this will actually show the price it was executed at. I show my profit and loss, my percent return. I can look at a little bit more information about Tesla, 52-week highs and lows, etc. And I can look at my portfolio as charts. 1 day performance of my holdings, 30 days, and a year. Students can export this. If they're open positions, they can export their transaction histories, they can export their trade notes, they can see all kinds of stuff. Probably the most engaging page on the site is the rankings, where the students can see how they're doing compared to everyone else in the competition, including their percent return. Importantly, the rankings are based on percentage return, not portfolio value. That's important because some students might transfer $500, some students might transfer $1,000, some student might transfer no dollars, but the ranking is based on the percentage return, not just the cash value of the portfolio. While I'm here, I've neglected to go to the rankings for the budgeting game. As I said, the overall score is a combination of the other factors, and the students have a button to view each other's apartment from the rankings page to see who's bought what and when they got it. That's a lot going on for the stock game, so let me talk a little bit more about some of the other features that we have built in for the Finlick Challenge. Completely optional, you can use it or not. We have our Curlipian library is enabled for the Finlick Challenge. There's dozens of optional lessons that students can see. If they complete these optional lessons, they're going to be able to download a PDF certificate. And there's 2 certificates they can earn. One of them is called Investing 101. We have a set of lessons called it Investing 101, all about investing stuff. Completing that will give them the Investing 101 certificate. It'll appear on their dashboard with a button to download it. The second one is the Financial Literacy Certificate. If they complete all of our personal finance lessons, there's about 70 of them, they will be able to download the Personal Finance Certificate of Completion with their name on it, and they can print it off and show how great they did. It's really important for some schools that certificates are earned. For others, it's just kind of a nice to have. I also want to highlight 2 of the lessons in the library specifically. Even if you don't go through the entire lesson library, there's a couple of them that are really good, especially in April. Where are these optional lessons found for students to access? I'll show that just in a second here. So the two lessons that I really want teachers to be aware of is one of them called Filling Your Form 1040. April Financial Literacy Month is also when taxes are due. This is a really good lesson that shows how it works. And the second one is called Basic Research and Comparing Stocks. This shows students how to do very basic investing research to compare 2 different companies. So let me bring these lessons up. And where your students will find the lessons is on the student dashboard. It's in this section at the top here called My Assignments. So they're going to have a pre-test at first, but there's also going to be a few other options in here. I have specially just to narrow it down for the 2 that I wanted to talk about here, but they'll be able to find all of the lessons in here. And they can earn those certificates going all the way through the end of June. They don't need to do it during the challenge itself. They can log in later to finish the lessons if they want to. But first, let me talk about the Filling the Form 1040. This is an interactive activity where the students actually go through the process of filling the 1040. It gives them instructions of how they're filling it out. Down here, they have a W-2. which they'll need some of this information to fill the rest of the form. They're going to have a 1099 that they get from their savings account, which they're going to need for the form. And they're going to show information about the standard deductions. So it's an interactive 1040 form they're going to work through and fill out. They have the option to do things wrong, and if they do things wrong, the system will tell them what they did wrong and help them correct it. They don't get through the whole thing and have it wrong. So, oh no, I'm not actually dependent, so it's not going to let me check that. And then I'm going to start filling this out. If I put $60, it's going to say, no, go to my W-2, and I need to find the real earnings. So if the W-2, I see it's $68,000. Let's put that in here then. Correct? Okay, I know I got it right. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but it's a really good exercise. We've had really good feedback from teachers. It's just kind of a not long, but pretty detailed activity for students to understand more about filling out the 1040 form. And let me go back to my dashboard. The other activity that's built in that we want to highlight is the basic research and comparing stocks. This one walks students through picking their first stocks for the portfolio. What it does is it walks them through using the research tool, and they start out by using the symbol lookup to find a ticker, and it walks them through how to find all this information. So I found my ticker is KO, and then it tells me where I can find the price. Let's just say it's 100. It defines what some of these most important things are. So earnings per share is an important factor, whether or not a stock is a good idea or not. So EPS, it tells me about this, what this term is, why it's important, and where to find it in research tools. So it does this for like 5 or 6 different data points for a stock. And then it prompts students to use our research tool where they can find stocks by sector to find a competitor of this company. So if I'm looking at Coca-Cola, KO here, I might find Pepsi as a competitor. And I do the same exercise of finding out those points. And then it's going to compare for each of the points that we care about, which of the two that I'm comparing looks like it's the winner. It's not going to tell the student, oh, this is the better deal, you should buy that. But it kind of walks them through 5 or 6 points to look at when they're looking at a stock of deciding, do I want this in my portfolio or not? So this activity was asked by a lot of teachers because the biggest barrier students always have for the stock game is just making that first trade. This really helps them get through it. Prizes. Prizes are always important for these challenges. So we have 2 sets of prizes. First, the top 3 students in the budgeting game by overall score, and the top 3 students in the stock game by percentage return, and they must have a $1,000 minimum value. Each win a $50 Amazon gift card, and that's per region. We have 4 regions, and there's an additional another additional $50 for each of the top 3 students overall. So the top 3 students in each game are getting $100. The top students in each region are going to get $50. While the game is going, students are also going to be prompted to nominate their teacher for our teacher appreciation reward, and the teachers who are selected for that are going to get a $100 Amazon gift card themselves. The way these prizes are distributed is the winning students' gift cards are going to be sent to the teacher because we don't have any personal information from the students. We don't contact the students directly. But the teacher, that's their $100. They can do whatever they like with it. Just so we're aware of what the regions are, we have these cut up by the U.S. Census regions, and we have Canada and anybody who's not from the United States included in the Northeast region. So you can find the full list of regions on the Finlic Challenge landing page, and it's in the FAQ that we have in case you're curious. Registration and reporting. I've already gone over the time, but I'm going to quickly run through the process of actually registering an account as a teacher and showing you the reports that are available to you. So let me sign out here. I'll go to Financial Literacy Challenge, and I'll click the Register button. It's going to ask me my teacher username. I'm going to put my name, and let's say it's March 2025. I'm going to pick a password. My name, year of birth, And for the student username prefix, when you sign up, we're going to generate accounts for your students. You can do this for your nonprofit. Absolutely, yes, you can do this in a nonprofit. Sorry about that, I missed that question. Student username prefix, I'm going to use the mascot from my high school. And what's going to happen is that it's going to use Knights, hyphen, and then some random characters to give me my student logins. Let's say I need 5 students in this case. I'm not Title I. I am from the United States. Why don't I see it? Oh, USA. And I happen to be from the great state of Illinois. This is the whole username not having any PII is important to us because we sign a lot of agreements with schools to not have PII. And if you're participating in this free challenge, we don't need a DPA in place because we're basically saying we are not getting any personally identifiable student information from your students. Otherwise, it can cause some problems with some school districts. Register, and that's what I need to do to log in. Now I am logged in. As the instructor, when I log in, I am taken to my instructor dashboard. And you can see here, these are the students that I created. I would have gotten an email address with the passwords of all these students. If for some reason I need to reset it, I can edit the password here and just reset it for the student. As the teacher, I also have the ability. What about people from India? If you're from India, you can participate. You're included in our Northeast tournament rankings. But you can also change the username of your students. Just again, don't put students' full names or anything in there. Just anything, you can put something to make them a little bit more easier for you to identify, but don't put too much. This will send you another email with all of your students' passwords if you need it. We don't show them on the site. Over here, you can find our teacher resource packets. So we have a student participation certificate. Even if your students don't finish the whole certification things, you as the teacher can get a participation certificate you can print off and give your students. We have resource packets for both the stock game and the budget game. I mentioned those earlier, and the teacher resource packet has all of that combined. And then we have teacher guides that you can give to your students as well. So I have a student guide and a teacher guide that you can download. Somebody was asking earlier about the printed materials, and that's where you can find them. The stock game isn't ongoing yet, so I have no report to show on that, but there's going to be a tab on this that will show stock game. You can see there's going to be a button to see all of your students' login detail, or not login, all their trading, all their open positions, all their transactions, all their trading notes, and you as the teacher can export those. Budget game report is going to show, I don't have any students who started the budget game yet. There's some data here, but this is going to be basically the same information from the rankings page, just kind of pared down to your class, and a button where you can see all of your students' checking statements, saving statements, credit card statements. Do students need to be entered by a teacher and one by one? No. Well, the students do need to be entered by a teacher, but you can do 10 at a time. You do 50 at a time. So I could do another batch of students here and say I need 15 more. I need 15 here, and it'll just give me another 15 accounts. I just distribute these to my students. If you want to change the usernames, you do need to do that one by one, but if you want to just use the ones that are generated and you keep track of who is who, then you just generate them and give them to students. Can the game be customized as per Indian context? So if you're from outside the United States, this is our free financial literacy challenge we run every year. It's US based, we use US exchanges. If you were to buy a site license for Personal Finance Lab, which starts at $10 a student, then you can customize literally anything you want. The dates, the settings, the currency, what exchanges are available. Like we do have the National Stock Exchange of India available in our system. We just don't use it as part of the Finlit Challenge. You can set your currency of your tournament to be in rupees. You can do all those things, but not part of the free Finlit Challenge. It's really just a US and Canada centric. And yeah, that's really most of what you need to know for the reporting here. As a teacher, you can participate too. You can play the budgeting game, you can play the stock game. Teachers don't qualify for the rankings or prizes for trading, but if you want to show your students how to participate, or if you want to participate alongside them just to get them a little bit more excited, you have the ability to do that. As a teacher, you can go back to your instructor dashboard anytime by clicking Instructor Administration at the top of the page here. And that is everything. If you haven't signed up already, here's the URL for the challenge, or you can just go to personalfinancelab.com. There's a big rainbow button that says Financial Literacy Challenge you can click on. It's a free challenge. Invite all the other teachers you know. It doesn't hurt to sign up and just have their students participate if they want to. You don't need to make a requirement for the class. But I guarantee you the students are going to participate and love it. That's why we've been holding it so long. It's been growing every single year. So I am going to stop the recording, but I will stay on here for a few more minutes if anyone else has any questions.